everybody. Welcome to the Hallmark podcast. And we're really excited today because we are here to talk about 3 recent mysteries. Hallmark has been giving us more mysteries that I know what to do with. And we're here to talk about them. And I'm film critic Rachel Wagner, and Terry's here.
Hi.
And Mitu is here.
Hi.
How are you both doing?
Surviving.
Surviving. It's the fall. It's busy. Yeah,
It
there
is.
have been so many mysteries. I mean, we still have several to cover, but we're doing the best we can. Especially with Christmas starting, it's wild.
Ooh.
Yeah. But let's just dive in because we've got these 3, a lot to talk about. But let's talk about the Cases of Mystery Lane, Death is Listening. And me too. Were you excited that there was more of these? Did you like the first one?
100%. I
Yeah.
think, Rachel, you're doing what BJ often does on our podcast, which is ask a leading question. And in this one, I IG chatted Rachel that we needed, I think I said 1,000 of these. I will double that number. I love these movies. I think they're just so weird and funny, and I enjoy them a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, the first one was pretty pretty like violent for one of these kind of movies. People getting
True.
hung and stuff. I was like, whoa. But this one I had to laugh because I mean just all the pokes at podcasters was
Mhm.
really funny. I was like, okay, this is how Hallmark views podcasting. And so yeah, it has a nerdy sensibility that especially Paul is totally up for and very funny. And were you excited, Terry, to get another one of these?
Yeah, I liked it. Like it was either here or there for me, you know. But I was excited that out of all the mysteries they aired, that I thought this was going to be a no-brainer to make a sequel, and it took longer
Yeah.
than I thought. But it's
Yeah.
nice to see it. And this one was a lot more fun than the first movie, and I think they focused more on the comedy aspect, but
Yeah.
I could have dealt without the mouse part because I don't care how cute this mouse is.
I
Mice are
agree.
disgusting. Rodents are disgusting.
I agree. They're
I needed a
dirty.
moment
They have
after this
diseases.
movie. I needed a moment. I was dry heaving. Like, no.
You're
with
someone
you.
who can't even see those
No,
on
I
your TV.
can't. Oh
Oh,
no, they're so
interesting.
disgusting. I mean, like it's. I have trauma as a child
Okay.
because we used to live next to this factory. It was way in the back, you know. We didn't live in the best part of town, and the factory was empty for years, and then they blew up the factory, and the land was just, you know, rotting away. If you watch The Sopranos, where they kill everybody, that's where I used to live. But anyway, and then everyone in that neighborhood, all the mice ran into the houses. So everybody, they had to get like
You were like
exterminators and
living
stuff like
the
that.
beginning of Ratatouille.
Absolutely, yes. Which is another movie I dry heaved about too, which I can't watch. But I think I had that trauma of just like the neighborhood being
Yeah.
infested, you know. I no longer live there, but you know, it's Jersey. Is all I'm gonna
Yeah.
say.
I mean, I'm not quite where you're at, but I'm on that direction. I'm heading that way because I also think there's really
I
gross,
can't.
like not
I know.
cute.
That's why I had so many cats, and now I have none, and I live in fear. Um,
Yeah.
live
The
in
other day
fear.
I found a mouse in one of my traps. It was the most
It's just terrible. And you know this is like a lab mouse or whatever. This is a pet mouse because he's all clean and cute.
course, yeah.
And I'm sorry, I was like, stop pretending, people. This needs to end. So that's my one beef with this movie.
Yeah,
Stop
that's
it.
fair. That's fair. So this is directed by Mike Roll, writers Joel Davev and Margot Froley, and it stars Amy Garcia, Paul Campbell, Matt Hamilton. He was so good in this. I thought Matt
Oh
Hamilton
yeah.
is the police officer. He was really funny. As Birdie and Alden's relationship grows, they share a love of true crime podcasts. When their favorite host dies, they help Officer Newton investigate sinister suspects. And so this one, you had them taking the PI classes together. I mean, I think why this one was better is because like the relationship drama was basically over.
Yeah.
So they were just like a cool team.
I thought it's true, but I did think he thought, didn't she tell him that she was gambling online in the last movie? That I couldn't remember. Because they bring it up in this
Hmm.
movie again, and she has to admit it, and he's like totally cool with it because she's winning money.
Yeah,
But
that was the other thing is that
yeah, couldn't remember if that was settled or not in the previous movie.
because the house always wins. You never like, I mean, sure, you can enjoy gambling responsibly, I suppose, but not the way she was doing it,
No
especially
way.
online. No way. That is not
I,
just like your fun hobby.
no way, no way, because like you're going down a hole with that one. Did they
Especially if
have
you
a new?
feel a need to hide it, then you know that there's
Yeah,
a
you have a
problem.
problem. Did they have a new house? Was this? I wish I would have watched the original before I watched this one because I thought it was a new house, but I wasn't 100% sure.
I'm not sure about that.
Yeah,
But what did
I
you
should have
think,
done my
Me Too, of
homework.
it? Me Too, did you
I
like this one?
I liked seeing them as a team. I think that mind more comedy of seeing
Hmm.
it as the two of them learning this skill, finding
I
that they
agree.
both have this weird interest in murder and mystery, and then working
Podcasts.
together to explore it. I also love their relationship with Officer Newton and like
Hmm.
them forcing him into the high fives and the buddy. They're like in a buddy comedy that he is an unwilling participant in. I can't remember in the first movie any discussion of gambling or the first house. So obviously, I just need to go back and watch it again. But I think the bigger thing for me with regard to their relationship is I appreciated the notes on communication. Like, even
Hmm.
if you're not communicating great news, the importance of just getting it out. I thought the husband was still pretty childish, like he was in the first one, but I didn't mind that because I just take these movies as like silly and fun and funny and less of like, would I be married to this man?
Yeah, it's not like gritty realism going on here, but there were some
Mhm.
funny little lines. Like I liked when she said that he says, "We have tons of friends, not counting your robots." And he's like, "Oh, that was funny."
That was actually pretty good because there is a point when you're an adult that your friend circle dwindles. I think either
Yeah,
because of life, they get married, they move away, you just lose
it's true.
contact with some people, and it dwindles, and you do look around and you're like, wait, what happened to my friend circle? Like, where are my
Yeah,
friends? You know?
that's true.
So that was I felt that I was like, yeah, they got to reach out and try, to make new friends and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, most of my friends are don't live by me,
Yeah,
which is hard.
same with me. Yeah,
I basically, I mean, I have two friends that I see like on a regular basis, and then a collection of others that I see sporadically.
yeah.
But yeah. So there were just some like fun dynamics with that, and they we did have her gambling, and the podcaster is murdered, and there's the cards. The silence speaks louder than words, and she's just about to spill the uh big thing on this Roxdale killer that she's been covering on her podcast. She's been keeping it to herself, and then when Officer Newton interviews the podcasters, that was so funny.
He's
I
like,
Yeah.
loved it.
we need somebody who speaks nerd. He's so just exasperated with the whole thing.
He's like, it's like they're speaking another language. Did you get anything of that? That was really funny. As a fellow podcaster, Me Too, do you think we speak another language?
I think that we definitely have to speak another language, but I also like that they found specifically like nerdy and odd podcasters that these
Yeah.
two could connect with, because I think there's also just a big difference between like people who podcast about the existence of aliens and theories around that, and people who do true crime, and then people like us who watch things and then tell folks about those things that we watched.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I do feel like you probably the true crime podcasters, you could be bringing some vibes, some energy that like Hallmark's podcast. We're not mine in that same territory.
No,
But I
we
do have to
aren't
be
either.
careful when I like watch too much Dateline. If I
Oh
watch
yeah.
too much Dateline, then I start to be like, woo, a little bit jumpy, a little bit like, It can get you after a
I
while.
know, because I am a true crime junkie, less so
Mhm.
recently, because I'm like, I just consume too much of this.
Yeah.
But I'm always going out and I'm like, watch this out. I could get murdered at any moment, you
Yeah.
know? So,
No,
but they
I
So,
say women are the most that consume true crime anyhow.
yeah, I
So we
believe
could be
that.
prepared for the inevitable, is what they
Yeah.
say.
But at least like these all they were silly and over the top, but they did feel like actual podcasters where
Hmm.
so often Hallmark has gotten podcasting wrong and it just treated it like a radio show. And I'm like, it's not the
Oh,
same.
like the
Like
Chronicle
the
mysteries
Chronicle,
did.
it drove
yeah.
Yeah.
me crazy on that. I just didn't think those were good at all. But these it felt like somewhat like it felt like they kind of got it a little bit, and so I appreciated that. And it did provide like natural, easy red herrings,
Yes.
so there were lots of kind of places you could go. And but were you suspicious of Katie going pretty early on, or was that a surprise? What do you think, Terry? What did you
Oh, I
think of
knew
that?
from the get-go.
Yeah.
The reveal of who it was didn't catch me. There's sometimes the Hallmark movies fall into the trap where the least developed or the character who's least on the screen is guilty. And
Yeah.
sometimes it is that way, sometimes it's not. But I just had a vibe. I was like, here's the twist. It's gonna be this. But it was still entertaining to watch, even if you figured it out. Because there's always a
Hmm.
chance you could be wrong.
Yeah. What do you think, Me Too, about that?
I wasn't surprised either, but I still really enjoyed it, especially because Newton was dating her. So then it offered that extra level of, again, like unwitting part of buddy cop group as they take this person down.
Yeah. Well, and I swear this actress, Lillian Dose Roche, I probably butchered your name, sorry. She is always the murderer. I swear she's played the
True.
Yes,
murderer like
True.
it's true. Yeah.
100 times. We should have her on the podcast.
She's out here killing people.
Yeah, she's really she's like Ben Wilkinson. Ben Wilkinson always plays the murderer
Yeah.
too. Even on One Calls the Heart.
She was also Saffron in a Cinderella story, Starstruck.
Oh yeah. Well, you remember she was the
Oh,
evil stepsister twice.
yeah, and in A Christmas Wish. Wow,
Yeah.
Cinderella story, Christmas Wish.
Yeah.
Wow,
So she knows how to play a villain, evil.
true.
Was her stepsister or murderer. And she just got caught up in the competition, right? Is that what we're supposed to believe of like
Well, because
true
what I
crime?
do like about this movie is that the victim is not a likable character. She's a terrible
Yeah.
Hmm.
person. She prevented the solving of all those crimes, as you could see, like so she could write books and get ahead. And so because none of those crimes were connected. There were three individual murders that she made so. And she wrote all those books, and because her family was publishing those books, or the publishing house was hers, when she was going to confess because, oh, I'm dying, I got to confess this. Like that was going to help her
Yeah.
get, to heaven or whatever, how you felt like that, some kind of
Because
last
she'd
redemption.
taken all that evidence
Yeah, she had
that
taken all
she
that
had.
evidence, and
Yeah.
she
Hmm.
was going to, as a publisher, be responsible for that in some sort. So she had to kill her before her whole company fell. Basically, she was like, you committed all these crimes, but I'm gonna be the one who's gonna suffer all the blowback because you'll be dead, essentially. And
Hmm.
she was trying to like go ahead of that. At least that was my
Yeah.
interpretation.
Yeah.
The interesting angle on that was that our victim was dying anyway, but
Yes.
just not soon enough for KD. And I liked the twist of like, oh, it's not Katie, it's KD, based on the signature in the book or when she sent it, when she signed it over to her publisher. And so I thought that was a cute reveal too.
Because they thought it was Kristen
Yeah.
at first, because so with the KD. And then they realized, oh my gosh, it's Katie.
But to be found out by the squeaky keychain was just so ridiculous and funny.
The stupid duck squeaked.
Oh man, and there's just so many moments where you're like I don't know how Paul Campbell, like he went in like the whole yoga when he rips off his pants,
Yeah,
like
that
his
was really
training
fun.
pants. That was so funny, and he's just sitting there in shorts, and I was like, you could pay me to do that. So he was a very good sport and all that.
Yeah,
You
he's in
know.
the I saw called it 80s yoga outfit.
Yes, he completely is. He looked like
And then she kicks him with the exercise ball.
yes.
That was fun.
Yeah.
And then they to have salsa lessons.
Oh, that was hysterical. Like
That
them
was fun.
posing as that.
Yeah.
And I
Mhm.
liked it too because she spoke Spanish in this, like showing more her heritage in that. Like you
That's
would
true.
in a family like that, you would be bilingual and speak. And you're married long enough to somebody who might not be Spanish, but you end up like learning that language.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and that was interesting. The fact that she wasn't unlikable, the victim was unlikable,
mhm.
that she had fabricated all these details, that so they hadn't been able to figure out the Roxdale case in order for her podcast to keep going. Because podcasters, very suspect. I remember the there was a movie with Jessica Lowndes and I can't, where I think it had Brendan Penny in it. Where the podcaster is the ultimate villain. It's like, oh, podcaster. Oh no.
Was this a Lifetime one? I think I
No,
know what you
no. It
know.
was
I thought I saw a Lifetime movie like that too.
yeah, oh no, they have like usually
Oh yeah.
podcasters are not to be trusted.
No, they're not. I mean,
No.
but she was newly into podcasting. She had already like she was an author and a reporter and stuff. But
Yeah, that's
this
true.
is a fear though that people have when you're covering true crime though that you're some people either you want all the clicks or you're so obsessed with it that people do like interfere in investigations and can
Mm.
actually sometimes it
Is
helps and sometimes it hurts like the
it
whole
was
process. That's a
magical Christmas ornaments was the one where the podcaster had like spilled all the details on their relationship and
oh,
like
I completely
embarrassed
forgot
her. And
about that one,
Oh,
Rachel. You're
anyway, they
right.
were like
yeah.
the villain. Oh, you're a podcaster.
Oh my gosh.
So
So weird
yeah,
how
this the one thing I liked that was kind of funny about the mouse traps were sort of funny, but when that's really the undoing of Kate. That's Katie's undoing is that the mouse crawls up her leg.
yeah,
That's what.
and oh, we can't kill that mouse. I'm sorry. Yes, you could. So disgusted with that. And then they have him as a pet, just trying to eat it
But he
everywhere.
really did
Guys,
save the day. So
Yeah.
I did
they
love
would have been
like
shot.
the extent that he had in trying to get rid of that mouse, like all the gadgets he was, the sonar, you
Yeah.
know. And his wife is just patiently. That's when you know you have a good marriage. She's like, okay, I'm gonna
Yeah.
go with you here. We're gonna patiently
Yeah.
do this to find it.
So what would you give this one, Terry? 1 to 5.
Uh, 3.5. A
So
solid
what?
3.5. I think it was really entertaining. It ended kind of on a cliffhanger that maybe, you know, the next movie will focus on that, on where they left us off. So there's hope.
Oh yeah, the police come about her
Yeah,
father.
right.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. What about you, Mitu? What do you give it?
Want to go? You know what? Let's go 5. I was gonna go four and a
yeah.
half, but why should I feel not bold? I'm gonna
No,
go
yeah.
5. I think these are such good silly movies.
Yeah.
And in defense of rats and mice, I am not a rat and mouse person. But in defense, as I understand it, they're supposed to be really smart and good pets.
They are. If you
So
have the
if that's
actual
Yeah.
your
pet
thing,
ones, yeah.
yeah, if you like it, I love it. I
Yeah.
just, I understood
Yeah.
when that is what took down the villain because I could literally have a rocket launcher in my hand and like the other people could be unarmed. And if a mouse is present, I would be like, well, this is it.
You
I'd
wouldn't
launch
see
us
me
all.
there, you know. All you
Yeah.
see, you would see my elbows and my feet as I ran away, just disgusted. I wouldn't be there.
100%.
It would make me jump. There's no question, especially crawling on my leg. Oh my gosh. Yes, I'm with Katie there.
Oh, I'm still
Okay.
haunted.
Ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/hallmarkies.
Next one we have is A Sprinkle of Deceit, a Hannah Swenson mystery. Director Kevin Leslie, writers Nick Hopkins and Tim James. Obviously stars Allison Sweeney, Victor Webster, Barbara Niven. Hannah and Chad flirt with their own paths to solve the same murder while working to clear a colleague who is implicated in the crime. Meanwhile, Dolores gets her big break. So for me in this movie, I mean, I'm not invested in the Murder She Baked universe, cinematic universe. So this is, I've only seen a couple of them. I thought this one was pretty lame. And like for me, the only thing that was really like working for me in this movie was Barbara Niven. She was like killing it. She was really fun. And her divaing it up was fun.
Yeah.
But and maybe I'm just taking these things too literally because obviously this is a whole series about a baker solving crime, so it's ridiculous. But why did they make him a prosecutor? It makes no sense. Prosecutors don't investigate crime. Prosecutors prosecute crime. Yes, they sometimes do interviews and things like that, but that's only after they're given the case, after the I mean, unless I'm totally wrong, but prosecutors, in my understanding, are given the indictments and, you know, all of it, and then they have to make their case. They're not part of the initial investigation like they're showing here. His character makes no sense.
They do have their own investigation team, but it is after they get the case. But
yeah. Like,
oh God, this series just won't die.
So what? But why make him a prosecutor? Why not just have him be a detective? I don't understand.
Why didn't they just recast Mike?
I don't understand that. I really don't. Like, it's not like Cameron Matheson is like some unusual, like how many like white guys with brown hair that are tall you can have. I mean,
it's just this one I was puzzled more about. I did find this movie, sorry for jumping ahead, slightly better than the previous movie, The One Bad Apple. I enjoyed this one better than One Bad Apple, and I think they used Victor Webster better in this one, and they're moving very fast on that potential relationship between them. But this one struck me. I was like, why didn't they recast Mike? Why were they so afraid to recast Mike? Because you spent 5 Murder She Baked movies, and then I don't know how many Hannah Swenson movies in itself, like with this couple together, break them up so stupidly. I mean, these guys are like almost 50 years old, acting like, 17-year-olds. And then to just like, oh, he went to the FBI. Boom. It's like such
it's so lame.
Such a terrible send-off.
Yeah.
Had we seen them like I'm leaving, had we had like a scene or a conversation where they did break up and he left, at least that would have been some type of closure. But I do not understand why they did not recast him.
Yeah, I agree. And it just makes no sense for him to be a prosecutor. I don't get it. But Mitu, what did you think? Are you with us, or?
I am. I thought the breakup was, just to back up to that, was very odd. I don't know why they didn't just recast that character.
Yeah.
I typically don't like to side with men. And a couple movies ago, I was like, I don't get why Hannah is so offended that Mike was like, checking in with his boss to make sure that what they were doing was kosher. And the fact that she said, you treated me like I was a child or something. She felt.
But you are.
Yeah, you are. You're being a kid. It just was so odd. And so I agree. It's people who are too grown up to be acting this way. And I wish that they had recast him. But I used to read the books by Joanna Fluke when I was a kid. And I recently revisited one of them. I think maybe this was like a couple years ago. And at least in that book, I guess, spoiler, 5-year-old spoiler. So, she still had not chosen someone between Norm and Mike, and in
Oh
fact
yeah.
married a third guy who ended up disappearing on her.
It's like 30 books where she can't make up her mind, like who she's
Yes.
dating. These movies are nothing like the books. I've skimmed some of them. I haven't really invested in getting into them. 'Cause I've heard people really like them, but yeah, like if you're a book purist, this isn't where it's at.
Yes, this isn't for
Well,
you.
I mean, it's especially confusing to bring in a new love interest when they have an existing second option right there. Like, why not just have her be with Norman?
Yes.
Like, it's
Who
so
has
weird
been there
to
from the
me.
beginning. Norman has been there from the beginning.
Yeah.
Yes, he's not in every single movie, but he is there.
Yeah,
And
it's
he's
so
interested.
weird.
And
Yeah.
she's interested.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So why even have this new character? I don't understand. Why have him be a prosecutor? It makes no sense. Prosecutors do not investigate. Prosecutors prosecute. Like,
Oh, and we're getting 2 more of these movies next year. Yay. Oh,
yeah.
I'm tired. I am tired. Hallmark does not know when to end things gracefully,
Yeah.
and then they don't know when to continue with stuff that's good. And then
they just end
we-
terribly. Like,
we could have had like 500 Mystery 101s, but no,
Yeah.
they couldn't do that for us, right? But we can
Right.
continue with this.
I don't want to detract from this review. I'd like to get back into Hannah
Sorry.
Swenson, but on Mystery 101, I'm Hive. I love those movies.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
It was so
Y'all
dumb.
have the inside
Why
track.
did they do that?
Yeah, why did they cancel
Well,
those? I even read the Instagram posts from the actors being like what they imagine happened with their characters, just to be like, just to have
I
some
think
kind
the
of
reason
satisfaction.
why, and I have no insider knowledge, but
Mhm.
I know that if you have a show that's filmed in Canada where you have 2 American stars, it's way more expensive. You only get the breaks if you have one lead that's Canadian. And it's not only that, like, it has to have Canadian writers and Canadian, like, it has to be very
Yeah.
Canadian. And so that show was significantly more expensive than other shows. And again, I have no insider knowledge, but I think I mean, knowing how cheap Hallmark is, I
Yeah,
think
and it was
that's the
rated
reason.
gold for them too. I also
But
think
why they ended it that way is so stupid. Like,
they
why
didn't plan to,
if it-
but what happened is they
why
also
end
got
with
new
that cliffhanger
management.
unless you are positive that you are going to have enough,
Yeah.
like, positive it's
Well,
scheduled.
At the time, they were positive, but then they went through unexpected management changes, and new management made very questionable choices. Like, why haven't we gotten a Christmas movie with Alicia Witt since then?
Yeah.
We
there's a
haven't
lot.
had one since Christmas Tree Lane.
Yeah.
And that's complete. There have been certain characters, not even those who jumped ship, like to somewhere else, but like there have been actors. It's just a big question mark. Like, why? Something behind the scenes went on. I don't blame an actor for, like, a lot of times they just do a movie and then afterwards, whoever buys it, buys
Yeah.
it. They don't know where
and
it's
Jill
going
got
to.
the Linus show, and everybody's
Oh
stayed
yeah,
busy.
she got the
what are
Linus
you
show,
gonna do?
right? And she still does like movies on the side. I mean, she continued on. They both did, even
But I
it's
know
still-
that the fact they were both American has at
Yeah,
least
most
something to
likely
do with
that,
it, for
but
sure.
It was very popular I just think it was weird. I think because they canceled almost everything from the mystery sides. They
did.
they wanted to get rid of the mysteries and just do the dramas. If you
That's why I
noticed.
was so surprised that all of a sudden they were doing Hallmark mysteries. Like,
Right,
that
because
seemed...
what did they do when they canceled all those mystery series, right? And that's another thing. Kelly Martin, she hasn't done a Hallmark movie in years.
Yeah, Haley
Need
Dean
her
got
back on my
canceled.
screen.
And she usually had a Christmas movie. It's very weird who they chose to be in a relationship with and who they completely lost their number.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the good folks at Harper Thread Press and Lindsay Detweiler in her new book, The Holiday Bake Off. Nothing can stop Lucy Carter from chasing her dreams until her boyfriend drops the bomb and tells her he's leaving her for someone else. Complicating things, she gets a phone call from her ailing grandmother asking her to return to the small town of Star Creek to help out with her beloved bakery. In the name of family loyalty, Lucy is forced to leave her aspirations behind, But the bakery's newest employee, an expert baker, handsome Will Westerly, might get in the way of her holiday. To get all of your holiday sweets reading in, make sure you check out The Holiday Bake Off by Lindsay Detweiler. You can get it wherever you purchase your holiday books or online and use the affiliate link below. It's The Holiday Bake Off by Lindsay Detweiler. We know you'll love it.
Right.
The new
And some of these
yeah.
actors are not for religious reasons. Some people say, oh, it's because of, they're super religious, but that's not the case in some of these,
No.
for some of these actors. For some, yes. Others, no. It's just weird.
Well, it was fun, though, in this movie. It was fun having our little cameo from Ashley Williams.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was fun.
That was funny. I like when Hallmark does that.
Getting to see her diva it all up.
Yeah. But as much as I love Barbara Niven, and she's great in these movies, the mom is just getting more eccentric with each movie as it is. And it's very funny, but it's like, okay, we can tone it down.
Now she's like joining in with the sleuthing.
And she used to be so against, and like the whole family. It's kind of weird. The whole family now, all the women are in, all the sisters are into it.
Yeah, they're all in on the mystery hunting, fighting, solving is the word. You don't fight.
So now they're their own little team, which I like. I like that aspect of it, but I think Hannah is kind of softer in this movie. They kind of like sort of rehabilitated her in a sense, because in those earlier this year, those movies were like Mike and her broke up. She was in the wrong. I was Team Mike on all that. Mm-hmm. This is his job. You're a baker. And I don't know how she has any time to bake. We only see her bake like one cake, right?
Yeah. Well, and I saw you said this in your Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
Mary,
Okay.
I mean, it is not even just that she's using a single use mixer, but it's a hand mixer, like one of those ones that, like a hand
I understand
mixer.
that.
Like, what is this commercial bakery here?
Yeah. Some people go, I still use that, working at baker. I get that. But like, you only ever see her do one thing, and that's it. And then all she does is bake cookies, like to bring, or scones to bring to like, have a scone and tell me your life story so I can solve this crime. It's getting weirder by the moment. But I did like the fact that they just like, not another dead body. Hannah, all is like, this happens. They made a joke that this happens all the time with you, like dead bodies and people drop dead.
Yeah, they did.
Like I would never go into her bakery. I would never speak to any of her family members. It was like murder she baked. I would never be friends with Jessica Fletcher.
When has anyone died of natural causes when you're involved?
Right, no one. Like if I saw her crossing, like if I saw we were walking on the sidewalk, I'd cross the street because I could catch death from her.
Yeah. So basically, like Darcy is having this woman, Darcy, that she is having was having this affair. This Brian guy, and then, but that's red herring. So then it ends up being this Cass,
another unlikable character. That
was nice. Cass is the murderer.
That one kind of surprised me, just from the perspective of like, where is that coming from?
Yeah, a lot of times they will kind of come out of left field. I think they're trying to surprise us, but you're like,
no, I knew it was either one of those two. I was like, it's these people.
Yeah.
I was like, it is these people, and it's either one or the other. And I was going back and forth throughout the whole movie of which one it was, but I kind of thought it was going down that route.
I also thought it was wild that I understood Hannah's personal desire to ensure justice is seen through, especially because Lonnie is a suspect. So we don't want Lonnie to go to prison. However, I didn't understand why he didn't say that the victim was someone he had a past relationship with.
Especially because he's a cop.
Yeah, like how that looks.
Yeah.
If you don't want to tell the police, that's fine, I guess.
Also,
that's your prerogative. You probably actually shouldn't say anything if you've been accused of anything.
No.
But why not tell Michelle?
But of course, it's a Hallmark. It's like, we dated in high school. It's like, all these relationships are so important in high school, apparently.
Well, yeah, because he drops off Darcy, right? And they get the key through the dog door. And then Darcy ends up dying. She gets murdered. And And it's all has to do with basically like Cass being jealous and because of the affair, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So these all kind of bleed together a little bit. I'm like,
Yeah, I
that
mean,
was right.
right. They do. They're almost
But
because
yeah,
she's
did
like,
he have he had a relationship with, or there was a reason why he was keeping things from about Cass.
because she was not a great person.
No.
And he was
no,
just like, it was in high school, it really didn't matter. And she's always been sort of this eccentric person. And you saw how she was vindictive, like to her old boss and something
Mhm.
like that. So it was given like a lot of red herrings. But
Yeah.
the moral of the story is like, don't have affairs because you just
Yeah.
never know what's going to happen.
That's right. That's a good moral.
And-
All our listeners, don't have
and-
affairs.
Yeah,
Just
and the
don't do it,
wife,
guys.
Do
and
it.
wifey was like, I ain't going down for this. I'm just gonna blame
Yeah.
whatever person was here for that. It was in the heat of a crime of passion, as they used to say,
Mhm.
that these
Mhm.
crimes were only for men, though, not for women. It was a crime of
Right.
passion only for men when they got in trouble for that.
Yeah.
Not for
It was a
women.
good line though when it's just not every problem can be solved by pastries.
Oh
Most
my
of
gosh,
them
yes, so
can.
true. I mean, it could be for me possibly, but like not in real life.
If you're going into the bakery, what are you getting? Cake, pie, cookie? What's
Ooh,
your
I don't know.
what's your temptation? Brownie? What would you get me to?
Oh, I don't know, cake for me, I think.
Cake.
I have the taste of a child, so I love like a chocolate chip cookie, a brownie. I have
Yeah.
simple tastes. Whenever someone is like an Earl Grey infused, blah, 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 like I'm sure that's lovely. I will eat it, but I will always be happier if I have something
Yeah.
simpler.
I
Same.
mean, here's my theory is that really, really good pie will always win, but I'd way rather have like average cake than average pie. You know what
Yes.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, like, and cookies are almost always way better if they're warm, right out of the oven.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And it's so if I'm
I
going
don't know how
to
she stays in business because
I
she
don't
is
know
always
either.
investigating murder.
Well, and people are like asking her to teach classes and stuff. I'm like, no, I would not have you in my
Oh,
class.
and I loved how in this movie too, like, oh, you got a new location. Congratulations. I was like, finally they acknowledge it because each movie they have a new new location
Yeah.
for her business. They never have the same one twice. Even in Murder She Baked, she always has a new location for her bakery, and it's never like she's constantly moving. Yeah, because she can't keep up with her rent, Rachel.
Yeah.
She's solving murders. That's another
Well-
thing too. It's a different cat in each movie. Have you noticed that,
Oh
Rachel?
no, I had
It's
noticed
an
that.
orange. This cat wasn't an orange. I was like, wait, the movie before he was orange. It's a different cat each movie, and I'm like, come on, people.
Terry,
Well,
you
it
keep
was
a
kind of
close
fun at the
eye.
end to see them all
Well,
dressed up,
yeah.
and then he gets her number. And
That was
they go
that
to
was
the
nice.
play starring Barbara Niven, and that was fun.
She's in a coma throughout the movie. I throughout the play. I love that. I was like, that's perfect.
But I thought this one was pretty lame. I would give
Yeah.
it 2 crowns. What about you, Mitu? What'd you give it?
I think the same, maybe 2.5, because I'm
Mhm.
always biased toward the mysteries.
Mm-hmm. What would you give, Terry?
I mean, 2.5. I might be generous and give it 3, only because I think this was probably the better of all of the Hannah Swenson movies as a whole.
Mhm.
But like, I did think that this one was much better than the ones we got this year or last year. But I don't know. Probably 2.5. Like,
Barbara Niven was really funny.
yeah.
She
I mean,
was really funny.
who knows what she's going to be doing in the next movies? But
She was doing all she could. You can always feel that in Hallmark movies in general when the person just knows their assignment and they're trying as hard as they possibly can.
I mean, it's like I don't know if they're bored or whatever. I just don't feel the excitement in these movies.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah, and I Allison's super friendly, but she misses a lot more than she hits for me, unfortunately. Because I really didn't like the Chronicle Mysteries. And she's had a bunch of misses. I really hated that Magical Christmas Village movie.
Oh my gosh.
I really
Mhm.
hated
She
Open
is-
by
her
Christmas.
Hallmark-
I really disliked her Jane Austen movie this year. It's just
yes.
it's been rough.
Because she was too old for that. I'm sorry to
Yes,
say
she
that.
was. She
But
was.
It's weird though because Allison Sweeney, for me, she's hit or miss with her
I
Hallmark
wish
movies.
that we
But
could get. I wish she would like go back, maybe do something for Lifetime, and we could see her be a villain again. Because she was a villain on the soap.
Well, yeah, because she's going back too at some point.
Oh, is
back
she?
to her. Yeah.
Yeah.
They filmed so far in advance on Days, but she will be popping back up, I think, in the new year.
Yeah. That would be fun.
But
to see her as a
and
villain.
honestly, like she can bring it. We've seen her bring it on Days, and I just don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, she doesn't want to keep doing the same thing over and over. So that's why she's trying to like do something different with her Hallmark movies. But I don't know. It would be nice to see
But it would
her.
be nice if we could get back to like Blueberry Farm and
Right. You know what?
She did some ones that I liked.
Her Christmas movie looks promising that she's got coming up. I think she
Is
looks
that the
really
one where
good in
she's
that
like-
later. Yes.
Is that the divorced one?
Yeah, they're separated. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to watch that one. That looks funny to me.
Yeah, that one looks promising, and she looks super good in that movie. Like I was
But
like,
isn't it Miracles of Christmas? I don't think it's going to be that
premiering
funny.
tomorrow, Thursday. It's premiering Thursday.
It's going to be one of the dramas.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, Hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
Okay. So the next one we have is Curious Caterer Mysteries Forbidden Fruit. And this is directed by David Winning, writers Diane Mott Davidson, Michelle Ricci, and Julie Kim. And of course, stars Nick Lodge, Andrew Walker. A caterer's date turns awry when the singer at the event that she's catering gets electrocuted, making it a crime scene she has to help investigate. So, Terry, what do you think of this one?
I loved it. I love this series. I could have 1,000 of them. I don't think it's as strong as the previous movie earlier this year. I forget the name of that, where they got dressed up and stuck in that manor. I don't think it's as strong. Yeah, that's it. I don't think it's as strong as that one, but I had fun with this one. I just love those two together. And his amazement at that murder board, it was like they're really playing off each other. I had to laugh so hard. Did you detail your car? When when the guy's asking him for his date, and he's like, "No, I didn't detail the car."
Yeah,
very funny.
It was. I did like the earlier one because that one was so satisfying because it was just all in one house. And it was all contained, and it was easy to kind of follow all the clues. And I really, that's probably up there in my favorite Hallmark mysteries I've seen.
Yeah,
that one.
Same.
But this one was still a lot of fun, and the whole like conceit of this band and the different red herrings and things was fun. That was different, and it was fun to get to see Nikki sing. I don't think she's ever sung in Hallmark before.
That was ridiculous though. Towards the end when she's singing, I was like, "Come on, we would have just shot her." But take a drink every time somebody says air fryer for the first half of this movie. Like, oh my gosh.
It's funny. So when I was talking about the Chicken Sisters, I happened to mention that I didn't have a air fryer. Mm-hmm. And one of the listeners, one of our patrons, so sweet, had messaged me and was like, "What's your address?" And so I sent her my address, and then I forgot that I had done that I had said that on the podcast, and all of a sudden I get on an Amazon big box, and I'm like, "What is this?" And it didn't have any tags or anything, and it was just an air fryer. I'm like, "Who sent me an air fryer? What's going on?"
Air fryers will change your life, Rachel. Yeah, it will change your life.
It's very sweet. Nobody needs to send me things, but
that's really lovely.
Yeah, it's lovely.
It was funny.
Shout out to that listener.
I'm going to be diving into the air fryers. But yeah, this was a lot of fun. I mean, I think a side of me just wishes they were just making rom-coms instead of making these mysteries. But for what it is, I think it was pretty well done with everything going on. And you've got this band. There's like the super fans are of, and they're having this reunion concert, 20 years of the band partying it out, kind of a thing. And the guitarist passes out. He's been electrocuted. So that was like a how do you say, a creative way for murder, but I've never seen that on any of these mysteries before.
Yeah. It's really, it was really detailed, like this, really like thought out in this crime that this guy was committing, and for interesting reasons. But
yeah, when it was fun to see, it was fun to see Sarah Strange, who I love.
yes,
she's
been popping up a lot in these. Yeah,
I love her. Fiona Vroom, Tammy Gillis. This was like a Jason McKinnon we've interviewed.
Yeah.
So this was, of course, we had Nikki and Andrew on. This was a lot of our favorites. So that was fun to see them. And then we have then we have another band member is dead, and it turns out that it's cyanide. There was cyanide in the ice. And so yeah.
I knew there was something fishy because when she was pouring the ice in the plant, they like lingered too long on that plant. Did you notice that when we were watching? I was like, oh, here we go. Something's gonna happen.
And then when one of them was like, do you smell bitter almonds? I think that's always so funny in these mystery movies, because if someone paid me $1 million,
I would not.
I would not. You could simply, you will always be able to cyanide me.
Same. I would
smell
never
it coming.
know.
I would not smell it coming.
Mason, he has to interview Goldie, and that makes what's the answer? Tom. That makes Tom upset. But she's, I mean, of course he'd have to interview her. She's the caterer. The person died.
She had to use that air fryer, Rachel. She had to use the air fryer like 100 times. Like, it's like, okay, guys, we get it. Air fryer.
Yeah. Well, so he asks her on a date, which was cute. And they have a really good kiss in here. Things are going back and forth. It's getting pretty exciting. And meanwhile, it's just going back and forth between the manager, Sam, and Selena, and then this guy, and then there was this Derek, and all the drama between all this management and the talent, and then this guy, Sam, who is a fake electrician. He's lying about it, being an electrician.
Been lying for him for 20 years. Apparently, he knows what he's doing now.
Yeah,
test, guy. Just take the test.
Yeah. Not a fake electrician, just unlicensed.
Unlicensed. Exactly, that's right. That's true. That's true. And so that's kind of a red herring. And the wires ended up getting crossed, but so that's why they suspect him, because he got electrocuted. So this unlicensed electrician. No. And then there's this woman, Marla, who is a suspect, because she's with, I just wrote Marla is with the bad guy. I can't remember.
Oh, the ex-husband?
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then you also, Marla, that was by JC. Yes, that's right. But then you have, no, it was Claire who was with the ex-husband.
Oh, no, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was Claire.
A lot of characters.
Yeah, I know. There really were. So Claire, played by Fiona Vroom, she's also a super fan.
Whoa, man, like super fan.
Yeah, and she's dating Lockman Monroe, who's always a villain too in these.
Well, he's not really a villain in this one, but you could definitely tell, like, I'm trying to keep up with this slightly youngerish lady. I don't know. Yeah. But that made me laugh. I was like, if that's not realistic. We all know these middle-aged men out there trying to keep up.
Claire hosts a candlelight vigil for the band members. And that's when we get Goldie singing.
Yeah.
Yeah. we also get the Teamsters, they're saying like, speak to my attorney, kind of thing. I'm like, what's going on? But yeah, there were a lot of characters. I don't know. What did you think, Mitu, about this?
My head spun a little bit,
Yeah.
even just hearing this. I will say about Richard, her ex-husband, I love the way they portrayed divorce in this movie, where it's like two
Yes.
people who are cool with each other,
Yeah.
friends even, and they just really love their daughter. And that's like the whole relationship. There's no, they might get back together. There might be lingering feelings. They're
No.
pretty set on like,
Yeah.
no.
It's nice to see, right?
Yeah.
It's genuinely, it's very pleasant. And seeing him try to keep up with Claire was very funny. And then it felt very realistic the way Goldie was trying not to, let's say, badmouth Claire in any way. Like we all saw how ridiculous it was, but even when talking to her daughter, she gave her daughter space to be like, Dad's being a little weird, huh? But did not jump in and be like, yeah, he needs to sort of grow up in his interests. And instead, they just shared like a more innocuous giggle over it. And I just thought all of that to me seemed really healthy. But there were
That's true.
a
Maybe I just
ton of
have
characters.
I still have PTSD from Lockman Monroe playing the horrible ex-husband in the Mistletoe Promise. He is the worst in that movie. So bad. But
He's
yeah,
also
you're
a
right. He
really
wasn't
bad
that
guy
bad in this.
on
You're
I
right.
mean, he was
Riverdale.
so famous for playing that in the 90s too. He was always the bad guy in those movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically you have Jax ends up holding this Marla up, and he says, Derek left my sister to die. And
He did, though.
I wouldn't let him profit from my sister's death. And so that's why he did it.
Okay, he should have committed murder, but his anger was justifiable. Like he had a right to be angry because he did kind of, even though he loved her, this dude did just leave her there.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't call for help or anything like that. And that's like very terrible for somebody to do. But also, when you watch a lot of true crime, it happens all the time. People are just leaving people dead anywhere,
Yeah.
just running for the hills.
That's
So-
why you can't watch that much of it. You'll get
No,
like
no,
I
you-
said, I have to know. Okay, no more Dateline for me for a while.
Y'all are scaring me. I don't engage true crime, so
No,
maybe
you're
I'll
better
just
off that
continue
way.
not.
Because there's nothing worse than being obsessed with true crime. Parking in a parking garage, right? And it's like dimly lit, and you're walking to the
Yes.
elevator, and you see a parked car with dust on it, and you're like, "This is a murder garage." In the middle of your mind, you're like, "People have died here. I have to be wary of it."
I mean, you have to remember that the likelihood of something like this happening is still incredibly small, and it's not just because
I know, it's so weird
many
how you
episodes
just
of
get in your
Dateline,
mind
you
about
can't.
that. And I have incredibly bad luck, so I'm like, this might happen to me. I don't know.
Yeah, you just have to live. You have to live your
You
life.
have to live.
Yeah.
So true, Rachel. You do.
Yeah.
Another lesson from Hallmarkies. I also thought that the mystery, the reveal being that he's kind of avenging his sister,
Mhm.
and the fact that he was like, you will not get to just write music about this and not properly take accountability, I guess, by dying. I thought that was really compelling. And I liked that the band was dysfunctional overall. Like, I think those kinds of dynamics, like an ABBA or,
Mm.
I just think those kinds of things are fun to see,
Like a
of
Fleetwood
like,
Mac. And
Oh, I
stuff.
was just thinking
Fleetwood
Fleetwood Mac. Yeah.
yeah, where it's just like everyone is married to everyone and then everyone divorces everyone and then they start dating others and then they're not happy with that either. And then that shows up in the music and in this case in the dynamics in the movie. I do agree though, Terry, that Goldie singing at the end, like singing
Oh,
at Jax to convince him to not shoot her and Marla was bananas.
bananas. So
I
very
laughed
Hallmark
out
too.
loud.
Yeah, I did too. I was like, I would have just shot her dead. I would have shot them both dead. Maybe Tom would have gotten one off on me, before I,
because
I got it done, but
I mean, I guess I was just kind of like, oh, look, Nikki's singing.
her
Because
singing at the memorial, the candlelit memorial, was one thing, but literally, like, this is how she's gonna stop a
Because-
man holding her best friend at gunpoint. Like, let me just sing to you.
Because
Nah,
Nikki was
don't
a
try that
singer.
in real life, people. It ain't gonna work.
Nikki was a singer before she was an actor. She was in
I
like
believe so.
girl
Yeah.
bands.
Yeah,
Like
that's true.
that's how she knows like all the people from NSYNC and stuff. Well, she was on Mickey Mouse Club too, but still, I was just so like, oh,
Yeah, it was
but
nice
you're
to see,
right,
but
you're
like,
right.
it was so ridiculous. But I still loved it because it's like you can't take these movies seriously, you know.
No, very much so.
I
And
need
they
100 more of these, though.
and so they get their first date, which was cute. I want you to be my partner in crime.
Oh,
Hmm.
That was cute. And it was nice to see Andrew having like real good chemistry with somebody because a lot of his projects recently have been falling flat for me. So I was happy to see, this and be reminded, okay.
yeah, they do have great chemistry together, and their friendship really shines on screen together. You can tell that they enjoy each other's company a lot, you know.
Yeah. So yeah, I would give this one. I might give this one a 4.
Same.
I can't remember what I gave the last one, but probably a little higher, hopefully. But what would you give me to?
I'm giving 4.5.
All right.
I loved
Very
this one.
good.
The only thing
Yeah.
stopping me from giving it a 5 was one, there's a lot of people, and then 2, I'm in my mind I'm ranking them. So Mystery Lane is my 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was an interesting group. So let us know what you think of these 3. I know we had to go over them kind of quickly, but that's just the way it works this week. But let us know what you think of these movies, and thank you to both of you for joining us. And Mitu, where can people follow you?
You can follow me at The Pilot Pod on social media, and then you can go to The Pilot Podcast to find more episodes of The Pilot Pod.
Great. And Terry, what about you?
I'm on Twitter at Flurry Heaven.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. And make sure you're following the podcast, Hallmarkies Pod, Hallmarkies Podcast, all of our social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. That really, really helps us a lot, especially during this holiday season. And if you are listening on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Most of our viewers on YouTube are not subscribers. So if you're in that camp, please subscribe. It really helps the algorithm a lot. And we have our Patreon group where we have tons of fun. We just had our watch along for October last night, and it was so much fun. We had writer Carly Smale on, and we got to watch Snowden Christmas, another good one that she wrote with Andrew Walker. And you get those great experiences being a patron. It's really fun. So check it out. And we have our merch store where we have tons of fun new designs that are based on Christmas movies that are really fun. So please take a look at that. Thanks to both of you, and we'll talk to y'all later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.